Hello again, my dudes. Welcome back to the channel. This is Kadima, and today I got another Elden Ring DLC build video, this time with the Beast Claws. That's right, you can tell already I kinda look like a bear, but there's something quite special about this build that I want to share with you guys. Let's take a look at the equipment very quickly. I'm using the Beast Claw, but not just some Beast Claw. I have infused them with cold, so their damage is going to scale with intelligence as well as strength and dexterity. Still will have a higher strength scaling with this setup and with this infusion, but the most important part is that it will have the passive effects of causing frost buildup of 105 and still remain with some blood loss buildup at 38. It's not as good as when it's in its normal form, which is about 55, I believe, but what you truly want to do with this build is not only cause the physical damage and the magical side of the damage, but also the frost buildup, and if only opponents lived long enough, they would also get the blood loss happening. Lucky for us, they don't get to live that long. The blood loss never really happens against pretty much any enemies, only big bosses with big HP pools. You will get the blood loss to happen, but most cases you don't even need it. And I'm going to showcase various examples where you can see this. On my left hand, I've got the Frenzied Flame Seal. This Frenzied Flame Seal is not here by chance, of course. I'm using some spells that are related to beasts. As you can see on my bottom right corner, I got pretty much all the incantations related to beasts, except for one, which I don't really find it that useful anyways, so I just went without it. Also, I want to make it clear that I didn't even use spells that much, only on a rare occasion to finish a duel if the opponent was being a bit passive or playing on the counter attack, which is fair enough to do. This build is quite aggressive. You are meant to be very aggressive when using this, especially in PvP. But let's talk about the rest of the gear. I'm using the Pelt of Ralva not only because it makes me look like a bear, that's an obvious one, but also because, if you read the description, it enhances incantations of what is jokingly called Bear Communion. Now, those Bear Communion incantations are obviously a hint to anything that is called beasts or is related to beasts. And I'm going to go to the spells in a moment, but you can see on my memory slots down below which ones I'm using. Now, for the rest of the gear, I'm using the Iron Rivet set, which is kind of part of the Pelt of Ralva. They are kind of on the same part of armor, although you get the Pelt of Ralva separately. It's meant to be used with this. And the reason why I'm using this particular set is that, again, if you look at the bottom right, you can see that my equip load is on a light load. And for this build to shine, you want to be light load. Not only because you're going to be super fast, but because it allows you to attack and retreat quite quickly. Your dodge roll is going to be backwards enough that you will roll back to safety, and then you can even counterattack again if your opponent tries to hit you, and this is especially useful against people with a lot of poise. We only have 33 poise with this build, which is insignificant. It might as well have 0 because it doesn't do anything, but you are trying not to get hit, and being light load happens a lot with achieving that. For the talismans, we have got the Shard of Alexander, we got the Rotten Winged Sword Insignia, we got the Millicent's Prosthesis, and we got Erdtree's Favor. The Erdtree's Favor is, of course, so we can have that extra little bit of equip load that makes us light load. Having the increased HP and stamina also works very well with this particular build, because in terms of stat choices, I had to go with a low vigor value. As you can see, I only have vigor of 54. And to make up for it, the Erdtree's Favor is a must-have for this build. For the rest of the talismans, it's everything to do with increased damage. The more quickly you attack, your damage will be boosted, and the Shard of Alexander boosts the attack of skills. And with the Beast Claw having the Savage Claws, this skill is an absolute beast of a skill. This causes so much damage and frostbite so quickly that it's absolutely insane. You will see on the various examples how much damage one single combo of this thing does. It just shreds opponents' HPs in the arena, it shreds enemies, it shreds bosses. It's an absolute must-have combination of Talismans with this Frostbite Beast Claws. It's almost like you are a polar bear, except your pelt is red. Now let's talk about the Flask of Wondrous physique. Of course, this is only useful in PvE unless you go into the combat ordeal, where you can use this. But I would recommend having no fear of using the blood-sucking cracked tier. I know it will drain your HP, but that nice 20% increased attack power makes a whole difference with the claws. It's just so much damage per second with this setup. It's crazy. The Thorny Crag tier again temporarily boosts successive attack power. You know, it just combines with these two beauties. It's an absolute destruction machine. This build is absolutely amazing for what it does, and considering this is, after all, a fist kind of weapon, oh my god, I was absolutely surprised with the results, and I hope you guys enjoy this one. But one last thing you want to have is Exalted Flesh. This will temporarily boost physical attack. I want you to actually have a look at the numbers. I got 525 attack rate with the claws. It doesn't look like much, but you have to keep in mind this thing attacks really fast. And when you crack the Flask and the Exalted Flesh, this number goes to 704. So this is an absolute killing machine. Now, one last look at the stats going from top to bottom. Vigor at 54, Mind at 10. The FP cost of the Savage Claws is minuscule. You can use it 3-4 times without having to recharge your FPs. Endurance at 37. We need a lot of stamina, not only to get a nice equip load so you can be light load, but also so you can be mobile and run quite frequently, move and attack at pace. It helps. Strength at 60, Dexterity at 18, Intelligence of 35, Faith at 14. As for the spells, as you can see there, those are the ones to go with. And one particular spell is what I actually use to celebrate each victory in the arena. You guys are going to like that one. Now, let me just cure myself. And one last thing I want to go for before I show you the examples of PvE with the typical boss fights I always demonstrate on my build videos and go for the arena fights. I just want to point out, thank you all so much to my new subscribers, and of course for my returning subscribers. If you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps the channel grow, and I truly appreciate you taking the time to watch my content. But now, enough talking, let's go to that what matters. Now, going back to my favorite victim, the Black Knight, of course, we start with the Mimic already present. We consume Exalted Flesh, we get just close enough for the Flask, consume the Flask, and here we go, just dodge that. The Mimic is already jumping on the action, and all you have to do is spam some R1s and then follow with the Ashes of War. I actually got hit twice because I was very poorly positioned, but as you can see, it just shreds through HPs. Is just crazy. Now for the Chief Blood Fiend, another quick job, summon the Mimic, heal myself, get that sweet dodge to allow the Mimic to show up. I actually got hit, this time I dodge. I don't really try to make these fights perfect. I don't really care if I get hit. I just want to shred them as quickly as possible. So I just gotta get ready. I actually got interrupted there. That's very rude. Let's do the Flask. Flask is done. Jumping R1 to trigger the Talismans. And then look at that HP just melting away. It's just crazy. Goodbye, boss. That was a 15-second boss fight. Now, for the arena examples, this guy, I gotta say, fair played. We fought 3 times. This was the first time we fought, and then he challenged me to rematches, which I accepted, and I ended up actually giving some advice and suggesting he checked my Madness build, because it's one of my favorites, to be honest, and it's a very strong Madness build, making the perfect use of the weapon he's using, the Sword of Damnation. But as for my build, as you can see, the idea is that you stay close enough to the opponent, and I strongly suggest that if you do understand, if you can tell that they have low poise, you really want to stay on the offensive. See, this is what happens with the Ashes of War. 1165 damage. That's just crazy. Now, this was the second rematch, or the third rematch, I don't know. But he was trying to play a bit more carefully. Still, it was easy for me to read his movements because I've made that build with the Madness, with the Sword of Damnation myself. It was one of the first builds I made, and I kind of dominated with it. But look at that combo, nearly 1000 HP gone, and this allows me to stay close. I actually made a miscalculation there. I thought I would have the range, but the Ashes of War, the Savage Claws, has a kind of a bit of a limit range to them. I realized he was by now changing something on his menu, or trying to fish me into the Ashes of War of the Sword of Damnation, and I just closed the fight. GG, brother. Any case, let's go for other fights. Now, this sorcerer, I don't think he was ready for what was about to happen. I don't even know if he was aware of what happened I was using, because look at that Ash of War, 810, and it was not even a full hit. I do a second jumping R1 followed by another Savage Claws, and he's just gone. That's it. That's just crazy. The damage is just insane. Now, let's go to the next one. This is actually a bit of a longer fight, because as you can see, he's using a Colossal Sword, and he's got quite good armor, so I had to suspect he's got quite good poise. And even if without the poise, that weapon will give him hyper armor, so I'm trying to play a little bit more on the counter offensive. But as you can see, I'm still the one doing all the damage. I'm easily dodging his attacks, and then I'm timing my counters to punish his misses. Now, there you go, another easy dodge, and then I go and follow up with another Savage Claws, and this shredding of the HP is just crazy. And you gotta celebrate with a roar, come on, that spell was made to celebrate wins with a bear-themed build like this one. Now, this footage was actually from the day before when I started making some tests with this build, so I wasn't even 100% familiar with the build and with the distance and with the running R1s, but I was getting the gist of it. But as you can see, I'm staying on the offensive. Look at that damage, is just crazy. This guy had no chance whatsoever. I just melted his HP. I stayed aggressive, I stayed close. This was the second round with the same guy, which was actually just fun. I think he realized by then he had to play a little bit more cleverly and try to trap me into the Melania's weapon art, which I gotta be honest, I actually landed my face on that attack. He's using the quick step now as well, which is a good strategy against the bear claws, but I'm still staying aggressive. I'm still on top of him. I just slow down when I realize I have to regen the stamina, but here he comes, and this is when I made a mistake. I thought I could hyper armor through his Ashes of War, and that was a very misjudgment on my end. I gotta say that was a big mistake. I never tried that again. You have to. I wasn't aware that my claws wouldn't reach him. It was an absolute misjudgment, a miscalculation on my end. But you learn from your mistakes, and that's what I did. So I had to play a bit more cleverly. I realized he got the bow to try to punish me, so I went with the same kind of exchange, and I won with the bestial incantation. Roar, of course, to celebrate. Now, another good fight, I gotta say. Although I'm staying aggressive, this guy's got the Comet, the gravitational shredder, so you have to be careful. I can also tell he's got good armor, he's got good poise, and that sword is going to give him hyper armor. I know, because I made a build like a couple of days ago using Freya's great sword, and I absolutely love it. But this allows me to be familiar with what you can do with that weapon. So I'm playing a little bit less aggressive, trying to get the counter attacks more than just staying on top of him, because in that case he will hyper armor through my attacks, and each hit of that sword is going to hurt. I'm light load, and my defense values are not that high, so I have to play intelligently, and that's what I'm doing here. And I want you guys to be familiar with that necessity. You have to read your opponents. You have to understand when is it safe to attack. Can I attack and be able to jump back? Can I punish a dodge roll? Can I stay aggressively? Should I just retreat and try to regen some stamina? All of those bits are important with this setup, because at the end of the day, this build is very squishy. You do not have a lot of defenses. You have a lot of damage, you have a lot of attack power, you have a lot of aggression, but at the same time, if you get hit, it's going to hurt. Of course, the roar for celebration. You can't miss that one. Now, again, this is going to be an easy fight. This guy is a sorcerer. He's got low armor. I don't really care about his weapon in this case, because even with a weapon, it's got a slow attack. Even if it hits me, I got enough stamina to run away. And there you go, that's what I'm doing. He's gonna go with the R1s and R2 combinations. I'm staying close enough so I can punish with the jumping, with the running R2s. It's important to say that the running R2 for this weapon is a lunge forward, so it covers quite a nice distance. You want to use running R2s more than you want to use running R1s with Beast Claws. Now, again, another sorcerer. This was the second time I was fighting this guy, actually. The first time I also won, but it was an even faster destruction. But look at this, it's just so aggressive. The moment I see my enemy is low on armor and poise, I am 100% aggressive with this thing. Now, this sorcerer actually taught me a lesson, and I appreciate the fact that I fought this guy. His armor is not as light as some of the other sorcerers, so I'm actually not gonna be able to break through his poise straight away. Also, he's using the Carrion Sword spell, which is against the Beast Claws, an absolutely amazing way to counter my aggression, because he's going to put me, he's going to be able to counter me with the reach of that Carrion Sword. It's actually quite a good idea, so I have to try to manage what just happened. I'm waiting for him to run out of FPs, and then I go aggressive, and then I'm on top of him, and then I'm not letting go, and then there you go, there's the punishment. Then, of course, I am the one that ran out of stamina. That was poor stamina management on my end, so I got punished. He's trying to cast some spells. I realize now that he's in panic mode. He's frostbite. He doesn't really know what to do, so I stay on top of him and I finish the fight. And of course, the roar to celebrate. Again, another very good example, because this guy is using a ranged weapon. He's using the Smith Script Dagger, which is a bit of a nonsense against this build, because I'm going to try to constantly be on top of him, and he's going to try to constantly stay away from me. But look at that damage, 1000 damage already. It's absolutely crazy. The frostbite is there, he's being punished severely. I'm on top of him, he's got no chance. He doesn't even know where to go. He doesn't know how to attack me efficiently, because I'm constantly chasing him. I'm constantly there. He doesn't know where to turn. He knows the fight is about to come to an end, so he's desperately trying for a different solution. But I go for it. I'm trying to get the roll catch here, but at the end of it, he just ran out of ideas. He ran out of resources, and I get the win. Here again, another very good example. This guy is using the patas, or whatever they're called. I actually made a build with this recently. I actually wanted to try to use the spell in the middle of a fight. It was not worth it. It was more of a celebration thing. But did you see that damage? 1195. Even with his endurance, I managed to give him a quite bit of damage. And I've done the Patas build recently, so I know what they're planning to do here. So I'm just going to punish him with another Savage Claws for the win, and the roar for the celebration. Beauty. This is beautiful. Now, again, another very good example. We only got a few more fights left in the build video, but I really want guys to get a sense of as many weapon types, armors, as many things as you can do. Funny enough, that roar actually hit him and did about 295 damage, which is not too bad considering that the build is not really designed for the spells. It's completely designed around the claws. But look at this guy. I just did Savage Claws twice and he was dead completely. Honestly, it's just so good. Now, another good example, because this was the guy from the previous fight, the sorcerer I told you about the fight earlier on. This was our first round, so I don't think he actually understood what was about to happen. He was very aggressive. He was trying to use the sword more than he was trying to use the spells. And as you can see, I'm just trying to trap him into running out of stamina, because if he does run out of stamina, after the first Savage Claws and proccing the Frostbite, he's a dead man. He's got nothing to do. From here on now, the fight is mine. He can't do anything, because he's gonna just run out of stamina really quickly, and the Frostbite is just punishing him. And that's it. GG, brother. GG. Now, another very good example. this is going to be a quick one. This guy is literally just spamming the Death Knight Lightning, which is an amazing spell. And as you can see, I made the mistake. I was too close. I could roll the first one, but not the second one. But once he runs out of FPs, there's not a lot more for him to do. So he tried to change spell, but it was too late. I was absolutely on top of him. There was nothing left for this guy to do. But good fight, brother. Now, again, this guy, I think I fought this guy a couple of times, and he was actually using the shield in a previous duel, I think. But he's this time using the shield combined with the sword lance, which is an amazing weapon. And he's actually using the sovereignty, which is an absolute beast of a spell. If it hits, I managed to successfully evade it, and in return I dished out nearly 800 damage. But he's got the frostbite already, and that's the most important part of it. The claws, the savage claws, actually catches enemies in the air if they try to jump over you. And the fight was just finished because he was just trying to get those ranged attacks to proc, and it wasn't really happening. I was managed to dodge roll all of them. Since I'm light load, my frames are higher. Now, this guy, a good example, he doesn't have a lot of armor, and his weapon will win any trade because of the hyper armor. As you can see, I made a foolish mistake there. I stayed too close, and then I realized he was just doing backstep, so I decided, okay, let's dance the backstep for the video. It was just a funny moment mid-fight, and I'm glad that he realized I was just being funny, and he kind of played along. So that was a funny moment in the middle of the duel. I thought I would share that one with you. Again, the roar, simply for the fun of it. I was trying to use it mid-fight just to create a funny moment, because I try to win every duel, of course, but I also try to be funny and do crazy things here and then. But again, he ran out of stamina, the punishment happens, and his HP just disappeared. And there I am, back on the running R2s for the punishment, and I managed to win that trade because he was using the whip. But what an excellent build. This is actually a build that I'm planning to return to. I might do a separate build video, and instead of using the beast claws, I'm actually going to use the bear claws and try to use a different weapon art, maybe going for something other than cold. See what I can make up with the bear claws instead of the beast claws. Now this is going to be the last duel. I'm actually fighting someone who is not only using the electrolyte, which is unusual. I think he's going for like a Raiden cosplay build to some extent, with all the lightning and the hat from Mortal Kombat, which is fun to see. But he's actually being very clever. He's staying on the R1s because he knows he will win the trade. But I'm still aggressive, although my HP nearly disappeared. I'm still trying to get the win. In any case, this is an amazing build. I can't recommend it enough. If you guys haven't tried the Beast Claws yet, this might be the right build for you. I hope it kinda suggests that you guys give it a try. As you can see, he went to the backhand and tried the Swift Slash, but not even that is going to save you, my friend. But GG, I fight this guy many times, and I gotta take my hat onto him. Well played. Again, guys, if you haven't subscribed yet, now would be a great time to do so. I truly appreciate your support, and I hope I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Cheerio!